This is the 2024 Washington Capitals, a team that was labeled dead in the water by just about any and every analyst, a generational superstar that's on his last legs, dead weight contracts, and the worst goal differential from a team that's made the playoffs since the 1990s. Alex Ovechkin reaching the goal record felt impossible as his scoring touch disappeared, and his time in Washington was nearly up as they slowly but surely were fading into irrelevancy. Flash forward to today, and Ovechkin is about to break Wayne Gretzky's impossible goal record. The Capitals are first in the NHL, and every other day another player is developing into an elite talent in the iconic red jersey. What the hell happened in Washington, and how did they get so good so fast? 895 goals. If it wasn't already known, Alex Ovechkin is now officially the greatest goal scorer of all time. After a nearly 20-year career against a generational wave of goaltending and defensive structure, somehow, Alex Ovechkin has made it achievable to break the all-time goal record. He's scoring at a clip that we haven't seen from him since last decade, breaking the mold of what was thought to be possible at this age. He was arguably the best goal scorer in the league as a rookie, and over 2 decades later, he's scoring at the best rate from a 39-year-old we've ever seen. It's ridiculous, but old man Ovechkin isn't the reason why Washington is so good now. There is an army of underrated players in Washington that have been carefully collected to build what is the most complete top-to-bottom roster in the league. A roster of guys who all fit a similar mold and who all play for each other. 4 offensive lines that can check and play strong defensive hockey, while every defensive pair features a guy or two who isn't afraid to jump into the rush and make an opportunity the other way. It's a roster that was constructed under the vision of one of the youngest head coaches in the league and former Leafs assistant coach Spencer Carberry. When the puck is dropped, the Capitals' game plan is just about entirely focused on counterattacks and generating rush chances from the defensive zone. Take block shot merchant Martin Fahivry, for example. He is ridiculously quick. Setting the 11th fastest top speed from a defenseman this season, he's an example of what kind of pure, unadulterated yam is on the Capitals' back end and how that talent has opened up a world of opportunities for Washington. Having some defensemen who are faster than the forwards has allowed Washington to maximize their transition play despite having guys like Ovechkin and Strome, notably slower forwards, playing top-line minutes. By acquiring Jacob Chychrun and Matt Roy in the offseason, there's a new speed on the back end that allows for significantly more offense from the counterattack and by keeping offensive possessions alive. Chychrun is one of the best goal-scoring defensemen in hockey. He loves pinching early or collecting the puck and walking into open space. If you're a defenseman who can confidently step into open ice, you're going to score on a higher percentage of your shots, especially when it's as effective as Chychrun's is. It's why Washington signed him to an 8-year, $72 million contract after being acquired for pennies on the dollar this last offseason. His shooting and pinching is exactly what Spencer Carberry needs out of defensemen, and Chychrun is on a very short list of players who can score at this rate while fitting the rest of the Capitals system. This is their defensive group right now. Sandin is the slowest of the 6, and he's still an above-average skater with an offensively primed mind. This is an experienced group of defensemen who can skate in a way I don't think we've seen in the NHL before from a 6-man lineup. The weak side defender is always ready to join the rush, and no matter who it is, Washington has a guy on the ice who is capable of joining the play. There aren't any shutdown trees in the starting lineup. It's modern defensemen who can join in on the offense. By having every defenseman at all times capable of joining the rush, it means there's a system of trust in place that can get through even the toughest of neutral zone setups. They don't need Makar or Hughes to slice through everyone because they'll always have a guy available to pass to. This is why they have the second best rate in the NHL of shots off defensive zone exits. Their forwards play high, but their defensemen join the rush, slice through the neutral zone, and get a high danger look. You'll notice a lot of these initial shots don't go in. It'll be a defenseman taking a shot from an inopportune spot, but that plays perfectly into Washington's cards. When the puck is in the offensive zone, the Capitals turn from a pesky counterattacking team into a heavy forechecking puck possession nightmare. A stat which analysts like to use when assessing a team's forecheck is called puck recovery rate. It determines how many loose pucks end up in a team's possession. To be above 50% at all is a huge boost. There are on average about 500 loose pucks that can be recovered at 5v5 per game in the NHL, so every 1% above 50% means you're winning 10 more 50-50 battles than the other team per game. At 5v5 this season, Washington is 4th in the NHL in puck recovery rate behind Carolina, Los Angeles, and Dallas. Their forecheck is ridiculous and it's winning them hockey games. And that's partly because their top 6 features only heavy bodies. With the average height and weight of 6'3", 215 pounds, it's pure specimens that operate in a 2-1-2, having 2 of the forwards down low, quick to grab pucks. The best non-Ovechkin news all year, though, for Capitals fans might be the most underrated line in hockey. Alexei Protas, Connor McMichael, Pierre-Luc Dubois. It doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it's Wilson on there, or McMichael will slide around, but overall, these three guys represent the Washington Capitals' surprise depth scoring this season. Sometimes, personally, when I'm watching hockey reviews or people talking about guys and they name three people I don't really know much about, but I know about them, I think it's kind of stupid when they say they're the best. So am I telling you that the Pierre-Luc Dubois line, like Pierre-Luc Dubois, is centering the best second line in hockey? I think I am. These guys are the truth. The biggest secret in hockey is Alexei Protas, who is a complete nobody entering this season. I made a whole video on him, but the fundamentals of him are he's a 6'6" Belarusian beast, one of the best 5v5 players in hockey, can forecheck like a beast, he's pass first but has a laser of a shot, he kills penalties, and he might hit 70-75 points this season. All of this is while he's on the first year of a 5-year, $3.4 million contract. You'll see and hear more about this guy over the rest of this decade, but for now, grab him in your keeper fantasy leagues because the sky is the limit. You can describe Protas as a do-it-all talent, but when you watch him, look out for top-end speed, passing, and forechecking. He's been huge on that line for Washington, finesse as a 6'6" demon, but a year younger than him is a guy who's ahead of Mikko Rantanen and William Nylander in 5v5 high danger chances this season, Connor McMichael. He's the smallest guy on the line and in the whole top 6 in Washington, but he plays far bigger than he looks, especially in a system that puts an emphasis on being the first to the puck in a 2-on-2 offensive system. Virtual Hockey Scout, one of the most underrated scouts in the world really for any hockey knowledge. He's put together some mixtapes on how McMichael has been able to get to the puck first and how he's been able to get to the front of the net so consistently, knowing when to speed up and slow down on his routes to the net, practicing an angle that gets him behind defensemen. It's a skill that's missed when watching a game casually, but McMichael doesn't really care if you don't notice because you're going to notice the goals, right? To get chances up close without being a 6'4" orc, you got to be able to find the soft ice away from opposing checks. That's what the 6-foot flat Connor McMichael can do so effectively, especially in the hard-nosed Capital system. His route right off the power play was about letting Philadelphia defenders guard down, drop pass, and opting not to get in the way of the goalie. It's basically a 2-on-1 down the left wall. When he puts his blade down, it's him indicating he wants a pass, and it's how most of his deflection goals start off. You could argue the correct route would be to push back the defenders and allow for Protas to shoot with the extra room to step in. McMichael, one of the best rebound scorers in the game, however, played this with the expectation that if Protas shoots, he can try for a rebound. If Protas passes, then it's a goal. Against the Rangers, he enters the zone with speed and tries to create his own chance, but after getting knocked down, there's a miscommunication among Rangers defensemen, a group that's had countless breakdowns this season. McMichael gets up and immediately puts his stick down for the tap-in. You'll notice when he gets into the deflection stance, blade on the ice, knees bent, head up. If you see him like this, he's expecting a pass for him to deflect in, and more often than not, he's getting that pass. Sometimes the open space just isn't there, however. He enters the zone with his patented slow angled route that gives him a chance to cut into the net front, but when there's two Philly defenders on him, he leaves the net front to get a little higher up where he can box out the shorter Travis Konechny and tip it in from 25 feet out. With McMichael, it's not just deflection goals though. He's been unbelievable at finding blind spots in the defense to create passing options and high danger chances. This guy is the epitome of earning every shift in this system, and it's exciting to think about where he could turn into in this league. His breakout season has him on pace for just under 30 goals and 60 points, despite starting the year as a 23-year-old. But one of the biggest surprises this season has been the resurgence of Pierre-Luc Dubois. He's on pace for the best season of his career after signing a massive $68 million deal in LA that needed to be flipped a season after being signed. Guess what? A guy playing bad on one team doesn't mean he's done, and Dubois is absolute evidence of that. His large frame and quick feet paired with his unreal puck protection ability means he is an absolute asset down low playing alongside scoring wingers. He retains puck possession by angling Johansson into the boards. Larkin notices that Dubois is going to win possession here and goes to double. Protas takes advantage of the doubling and cuts into open ice. Dubois gets his head up and finds the F3 who gets it low to McMichael, who gets a good cross-slot pass that unfortunately isn't finished. The Capitals' 2-1-2 offensive pressure lets their heavier players work the boards and find opportunities from down low. Dubois, Wilson, McMichael, and Protas are all bigger bodies that find success down low and are able to become that F3 when needed. It's a perfect perfect system for a team that's main purpose is to grind you down along the boards in the offensive zone. When the puck is up high and Dubois is down low, that's when his elite talent kind of shows. Able to find space for a one-timer or able to quickly read a rebound and get there first. He's a 3rd overall pick for a reason, and he got $68 million for a reason too. GMs aren't stupid at the end of the day, but I think his issue in Los Angeles came down to confidence in a role that wasn't really suited for him. He just isn't capable of being a number 1 center or a zone entry merchant. When playing with guys like Trevor Moore, it made more sense for Moore to enter the zone with speed than have Dubois struggle his way in, or more likely struggle his way into a turnover. He's kind of a confidence guy, similar to Elias Pettersson, where he can look lethargic in the wrong role, and when fans turn on him, it gets even worse. The lack of realistic expectations in Washington meant he kind of took his time to learn the system. The slow pressure cooker of confidence growth has made his tenure in Washington a complete turnaround from Los Angeles. The Athletic ranks him as a $10 million player and actually has him with the best advanced stats of anyone on the team. That being said, Dubois still struggles in the neutral zone at even strength. He just isn't that good at it, and even in set plays where he gains speed, he still faces a massive issue when it comes to advancing the puck into the neutral zone and into the offensive zone at 5v5. I think his crazy advanced stats this season, saying he's the best Washington Capital, kind of come from him just gelling with Spencer Carberry's system rather than him becoming like an elite superstar overnight. At even strength, he's been unbelievable, but I doubt he's putting up these point totals sitting on San Jose this season, you know? But on the power play, he's become one of the most effective players on the team at entering the zone. Fewer defenders to worry about, more space to use his body to protect the puck, and a consistent setup has kept him confident in the role. He's been responsible for zone entries on the power play, rocking an 84% controlled entry percentage, and the most controlled entries of any player on the Capitals at 5v4. As soon as he gains the blue line, he tends to defer to Wilson, who will dump it in, or maybe he'll try to dump it in himself, but is always right into the right corner. And that's because of Alex Ovechkin. One of the biggest resurgences for Washington has been Alex Ovechkin scoring like a madman. Compared to a little over a year ago when we all thought he was absolutely cooked, just looking at the difference between goalies in the 80s and goalies today, it's a joke, right? That Ovechkin is going to break the record against these elite super athletes. His primary method of scoring over his career has been on the power play. He's the GOAT power play edition. It's not even a conversation. If you're building an all-time power play, Ovechkin is going to be on the left wall. First all-time in power play goals by nearly 50. Led the NHL in power play goals 6 times, and he's still one of the best power play scorers as a 39-year-old. He's been a machine throughout his entire career, but what's had to change for Washington over time is compensating for how goddamn slow he's become. He's almost 40 years old. Maybe LeBron can look like he's in his 20s, but with how fast the NHL has gotten during the span that Ovechkin's been reaching for Gretzky's record, Washington has had to compensate in some ways. On the power play, they still run the 1-3-1 that Ovi's Capitals have been using since his prime, but at this point in his career, especially with how slow he's gotten, it's nearly impossible to find him without set plays in the offensive zone. Teams obviously recognize how much of a threat he is. He's the gold standard of standing still on a power play until a chance arrives and then it's game over. So, like I said, Dubois feels comfortable entering the zone on the power play, and that's because of a set play they've been running that prioritizes getting shots off early and by taking the defenders as far away from Ovechkin as possible. The best case scenario for a penalty kill is to clear the puck, not even allow Washington to enter the zone. They don't have any especially dynamic zone entry guy on the power play, and their zone entries usually require a double drop pass between Dubois and Strome. This isn't Kucherov or McDavid dancing into your end, so penalty kills are going to try to step up early first and foremost. But once Washington, a team that has been unbelievable at winning board battles and forechecking this season, wins the puck in the offensive zone, the penalty kill's next priority is to set up their own defensive structure as quickly as possible. This is where Washington has found some space for Ovechkin to score as much as possible. On almost half of these dump-ins into the right corner, Ovechkin is camping outside of the zone, acting as if he isn't a threat. Come on, bro. As soon as Washington gains even a semblance of possession, he darts into his office where Carlson knows he's going to be, and it's a shot. So many of these Ovechkin shots happen immediately after zone entry. While making this compilation, I did some quick math, and over half of his shots on the power play happen within 5 to 10 seconds of entering the zone. This is Ovechkin's way of shooting on the power play now, and it's helped Washington achieve an above average power play despite having no one with elite puck handling or playmaking on the roster. Just the ominous threat of Ovechkin looming over every single penalty killer. When that formation doesn't work, or when Karlsson is out, they've tried this formation a couple times where Karlsson basically takes Ovechkin's spot, or they let Chychrun run the power play. It's crazy how good Ovechkin's shot is and his ability to find dangerous areas on the ice. It's a threat to create a formation that puts Ovechkin as a defenseman, just ripping shots from the blue line. The issue with this formation though, as you can probably imagine, is that if the penalty kill manages to break out, you really don't want a 39-year-old Alex Ovechkin defending the rush. And that's a problem at even strength as well, actually, not just a power play. You really don't want Alex Ovechkin defending, but what's been a savior has been the new blood injected into Ovechkin's center of the ice, Dylan Strome. We all remember Backstrom and Ovechkin, the best passing scoring duo maybe in the history of the sport. As Backstrom's injuries have led him to stay on the LTIR, Dylan Strome has had to take over as the #1 passer for Ovechkin's goal scoring journey. On his third team already, some people might not remember that he was about as hyped up as a prospect can be. Third overall pick in the infamous McDavid draft, and some guys were wilding back then saying that he was even better than McDavid. That's because he led Canadian hockey in scoring the year he was taken in Arizona. He's an excellent playmaker, but his strength comes from having a great IQ of when to get into dangerous areas of the ice, and a great hand-eye when it comes to generating chances from tipping and deflections. According to the All Three Zones project, McMichael isn't the deflection GOAT on Washington, it's Strome, who leads all forwards in the NHL in deflections per 60 at 5v5. A result of operating in that F3 role on Washington, always in the middle of the action. He isn't as much of a Joe Pavelski where he would win positioning with his frame. A lot of his deflections come from quick moves to a dangerous area when the Washington defensemen are shooting. A perfect fit for a Washington system, which is why he's gone from a 40-50 point guy to now being on pace for 81 points this season, a career high. So, when you put it all together for the Capitals, you get plays that look like this, where John Karlsson enters the zone first, gets it to Ovi, who shoots it right away. He crashes the net and gets the puck into the boards where Tom Wilson is already headed. Karlsson is happy to sit below the goal line and act as the F2. They enter into a 1-3-1 setup that eventually sees all three big bodies in front of the net. Ready to collect John Karlsson's pass, they find Chychrun, who has a chance to shoot but knows the defenseman might have a better look. Chychrun looks for Strome for the deflection, but unfortunately he doesn't get much on it. This is a winning hockey that works for Washington more often than not. 3 different chances to score a goal, and Seattle gets out of the zone tired after 40 seconds of offensive pressure. But all of this offensive hockey wouldn't be possible without having one of the best goaltending tandems in hockey, Charlie Lindgren and Logan Thompson. I'm never going to be able to pinpoint for sure how goaltending works in the NHL. It's a weird combination of confidence, athleticism, system, trust, and luck. It feels impossible year to year to predict how a goalie is going to perform, especially regular season versus playoffs versus finals. That being said, Washington getting Logan Thompson for 2 third-round picks this last summer, probably the best trade they've made under this regime. He's been a wall. He's currently rocking the second best goals saved above expected around the NHL, behind only Connor Hellebuyck in Winnipeg. It's not a secret that these two teams are number 1 and number 2 in the NHL. A strong goalie is both one of the most important factors and one of the most random factors in determining who can be good season to season. Logan Thompson sits a little bit lower in his crease. Being 6'4" is kind of the sweet spot for a goalie if you're athletic like Thompson is. He can sit back a bit, and it makes him especially effective at preventing cross-crease opportunities. He has one of the best Royal Road save percentages in the league, but him sitting a little bit deeper in the crease has meant he's susceptible to low shots and especially some outside shots. He's kind of the perfect goalie for the Capitals. A team that's going to try for 2-on-1s is eventually going to give up a couple odd man rushes the other way. Having a goalie with great mobility and a large frame is perfect in those specific chances, even if he gets burned from time to time. The Washington Capitals are a top to bottom stacked team. A combination of younger pieces stepping up into big roles and flourishing in them, older guys doubling down on what's worked for them in the past, and the excitement of a once-in-a-lifetime goal race has kept Washington both in the news and at the top of the standings all season long. We'll see how they do in the playoffs, but I think this is a squad built for postseason hockey. They still have Ovechkin, Karlsson, Eller, and Wilson from their 2018 Cup, with Backstrom and Oshie in the locker room keeping them hyped up. All of this without mentioning the insane prospect pool they've built. Most notably, Ryan Leonard, who, as I'm recording this script, is about to make his debut tonight against Boston. He could end up being the final touch to an already near-perfect roster. A roster, coach, and locker room that could get Ovechkin his second Stanley Cup in a storybook season. Huge shout out to the boys over at Sport Contract for the clips and stats throughout this video, an absolute must for any hockey scouting needs. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I love the Capitals and I hope Protas wins a cup. Bye-bye.